All right, and we're in. How you doing, Corey? Welcome to the studio.
We made it.
We finally made it.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
78 traffic lights later. We made it. Thank goodness. But it's good to see you.
That's just on La Cienga.
Yes. True story. I stopped at each one of them. So yeah. Yeah. But it's worth it though.
That's good. I'm glad you had a destination worthy of 78 traffic lights.
Well, let's wait an hour from now. We'll find out. But I have high hopes.
I'm gonna try to keep my side of the bargain up,
Deal.
Okay.
Deal.
So I know you've watched the podcast a couple times. You've seen a few of my other guests and things like that. So we can just jump right in if you want.
Boom. Let's do it.
So where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Philadelphia.
Nice.
Yeah, Philly. I wasn't raised in Philly, but born in Philly, spent a majority of my life in Philly. And wound up moving to a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia when I was a little kid.
Oh, wow.
And stayed there until I graduated high school. But when people say, where are you from? I'm from Philly.
I love Philly.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste.
City of brotherly love.
City of brotherly love,
Yeah.
Rocky Balboa, the fighting Phils,
Yeah.
Eagles,
It's a good town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just got back from there. I just got done visiting.
So I mean, like, okay, so you're born in Philly, and then what? You moved to just outside Atlanta. Like, was that a whole family move?
Yeah, my pops, he got transferred when I was 6 years old.
Oh.
And so basically from like second grade until I graduated high school, that's kind of where my formative years were in Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you ever heard of Stone Mountain, Georgia.
It sounds familiar. The way you lay it out there, it sounds familiar. I don't know if it's just a nice way that you say it or whether I've actually heard something.
Allow me to tell you. So Stone Mountain, Georgia, Stone Mountain is actually the largest piece of exposed granite in the world. If you be an adventurous guy, you might want to go, you can actually climb up the mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, you could walk up the mountain. But what makes it really interesting is there's a whole theme park dedicated to it. There's a village, but it's a Confederate War Memorial Museum.
Oh, shit.
Basic. And they have Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, and Jefferson Davis carved on the mountain.
Oh, so it's like a Confederate Rushmore.
Basically, yes.
And how does that go over?
Look, at the time when I lived there, which was very funny, it's not funny, but it's funny. Here comes this little Jewish kid that lived, I could ride my bike to this place. And at the time, 1979, early 80s, it was the rallying point for the KKK.
Oh, my God.
True story. They used to hand out pamphlets.
Yeah.
Now, the neighborhood is nothing like that now. Much more diverse, way cooler. But, I don't want to boil it down to just that because I can say it was a great place to grow up. Friends with a lot of the kids I went to high school with. I still speak to both of my high school baseball coaches after 30-something years.
Right.
Fond memories of that area.
Yeah. We're living in strange times, aren't we? Where things like, because I think you're just a little older than me, but kind of same generation, but like the world we grew up in is not the world we're leaving in any way, shape, or form. And you can say whether that's good or bad or ugly.
In a million different ways, I'm glad I grew up in the generation that I grew up. I would not want to be a youngster now.
No.
Just way too many distractions, and you don't get a chance to really grow up and be a kid.
No, I mean, can you imagine? Like, I went through university without digital cameras connected to my hand. I mean, you know how lucky I was?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd probably have a rap sheet a mile long if those, because I did some stupid stuff.
Me too. Yeah.
Goodness. But now we depend on those things because it gets the word out for us.
Yeah.
And it makes the world a little smaller and my bank account a little bigger.
There you go, right?
Yeah, man.
So what was it like going from like the north in Philadelphia to the south in Georgia? Like, were you old enough to really realize like the difference between those parts of the United States?
I think it was something that evolved over time because our family was still in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So we would go and we would visit grandmom and uncles and cousins. We would go for holidays and, summer vacations. We went to Philadelphia on summer vacation, and so I was aware of the difference of the landscape compared to where from where I lived in Georgia to what was going on in Philly. So it was a cool thing to say in Georgia. Oh yeah, I'm from Philly. It's a little different in Philly. Talk to Philly. Yeah. And then, when up in Philly, they're like, oh, you're down in Georgia? They make fun of you.
Yeah.
So I had to balance it.
It's wild that this is all just one country.
For sure. For sure, because it's not one identity.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, it
And
says United States of America, but
yeah.
I don't know how united we are. I'll just leave it at that. I don't wanna get too political.
No, we won't. But one of my friends who was on the podcast a couple months ago, sorry, he's from he was born and raised in New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
And he lives out here in LA. And he goes back and forth all the time. And he goes, man, like the difference between LA people and New Orleans people is just off the charts. And he grew up there. He came of age there. He learned how to drink and party there. But then, going back and forth to LA, it's just like kind of like a little bit of a breath of fresh air too, because people in like New Orleans, they apparently like they speak what's on their mind. They're not hiding from you. They're not trying to butter you up, to get something done like here. So it's a different vibe.
Philadelphia is known to be very direct. Very direct.
City of brotherly love.
Yeah, and my wife is from South Philadelphia. That's a whole other country inside of Philadelphia. God bless her. And she is direct as they come,
Yeah.
the attractions, but that's a horse of a different color.
Amazing. So Stone Mountain, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we got caught up on where that is and what's going on. So you're there through your high school years, like you're growing up, you're figuring out how to be a man in Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Yeah, for sure.
That's wild.
That's where it all happened. That's where I guess the legend was born. I had much more hair, and the hair I have on my face was not there or black, but
Yeah.
yeah, and then it was, after high school, it was time to go to college.
Yeah.
And for me, it was only one choice. I mean, my mother went to Temple University in Philadelphia. My brother went to Temple University. Cousins went to Temple University, and they actually had a really have a good communications department
Mhm.
for stuff like this. I wanted to be on the air.
Right.
I wanted to be the next Howard Stern. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be the talent.
Where'd that come from?
Boy.
Any parents or family members in the entertainment world?
My uncle, my mom's brother, he acted on stage. He did like The Odd Couple. He was a DJ,
Mhm.
some of the Philadelphia radio stations. He was kind of the family ham.
Yeah.
He
Or Bohemian?
b- I would say more closer to Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
That was his vibe.
Yeah.
Little Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos.
All right.
His name was Paul, but
Mm.
he was sort of the family celebrity.
Mhm.
But my mom was very hammy as well, could talk in front of an audience. I just wanted to be in the media, and I got the bug early on, about 14, 15 years old, just from one of my friend's fathers worked in community television and did video production.
Oh, wow.
And I actually write about it in my book. And my friends just that one day at school, he said, "Hey man, you come sleep over and you'll come help us with this video shoot." I'm 15 years old. Go, "Oh my God, video shoot. How cool. Let's do that." I didn't know what to expect. I'm thinking lights, camera, action. Let's go.
And it was probably like an old 8-track.
It was, geez, I think it was like, I don't even know if it was beta or whatever it was. Or it was just, I mean, everything was huge. It wasn't like the little cameras that you have here for your podcast for sure. And, my foray into the media and entertainment world was making bologna sandwiches for the crew.
Nice.
That was my job. So I did it with pride,
Yeah.
but just watching all that stuff happen
Mhm.
and having that little entryway, that door open for me. My friend's dad, he kind of introduced me to that side of the business. And, a year or two later, I was directing local TV shows on my own.
That's amazing.
Pretty cool.
From making sandwiches to directing.
Making sandwiches I learned how to run a camera. I learned how to light a set.
Mhm.
I was a floor director. And then there came this little sports talk show that, a local guy was running where he would get media credentials and he'd get to interview, people from the Atlanta Braves, the Atlanta Hawks, and et cetera, et cetera. And they needed a director. So they nominated me and I was directing that show. I couldn't even drive
Mhm.
to the set. My dad had to drop me off and I was directing TV shows.
That's epic.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that whole thing started to germinate,
Mhm.
and I wanted to keep progressing with that, and that's what led me to Temple University and moved back to Philadelphia in 1990.
Oh, wow. So a re-entry into the Philly world.
Yeah, and I lived in Northeast Philly, which is a hop, skip, half hour from the stadiums and from Center City, and I drove to North Philly, which is not the best neighborhood.
No.
Um,
According to Will Smith, right? Was that song go
He's
West Philadelphia? Yeah, that's it.
yeah, West Philadelphia It's similar but different.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I drove down right there. You heard Broad Street is, like, the main drag there that takes you right to where Independence Hall is and all that, and I drove down Broad Street every day to go to school for 4 years.
That's amazing. Let's give a shout out to Philly of being like the United States' first capital city. Let's go
Why not?
back.
Why not?
Because actually the founding fathers' documentation and historical things that exist in Philadelphia are spectacular.
Liberty Bell number 1.
Number one, right?
Right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Most people are like, "Oh, you mean DC wasn't a thing back then?" I'm like, "No, it wasn't a thing back then."
Yeah, I mean, Philly is still hype though. I mean, it's definitely a cool town. Uh, no offense to my Philly brothers and sisters. I'm glad I don't live there anymore. I enjoy Southern California,
Yeah.
but I'm proud to say that that's where my roots are.
No more humid summers.
For sure. Or no more shoveling 30 inches of snow.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
And when you have you know, uh, 3 or 4 adult drivers in the house, it's a lot of shoveling.
It's a lot of shoveling.
And, I'm not fond of that. I don't wanna do it again. I have no desire. And like I said, I have a lot of my family that still lives there, but I said, "Well, we're just gonna run up some frequent flyer miles, and we'll come visit
In the summer
in the summer."
or September, that's nice.
Yeah, usually in the spring is when we go during in summer, and that's I'm sure we'll get into that because one of my kids works out there, so
Okay. Nice. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, so same fucking weather, just like humid summers and then crazy snow all winter.
like, been to Toronto,
Yeah.
little hip little city.
It's not bad, right? We do okay. We bat above our weight, I think.
Yeah, right there by the Sky Dome there or, Olympic Stadium or something they call it. It's where the Blue Jays play, wherever that is.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's called the Rogers Center just because
That
they
makes
changed the
sense.
name of it. And
Yeah.
then they've got the basketball and ice hockey place right next door.
The
And
Maple Leafs, right.
yeah, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Raptors, but I don't know. Oh, it's called Scotia something. I don't know. Every couple of years the sponsors change.
Yeah, that's anywhere you go anymore. I went there years ago for, a broadcasting convention called ProMax.
Okay.
So that's kind of where, after college, where I ended up doing a lot of broadcast production, advertising, etcetera.
Oh, that's wild. You've really gotten into this. So at Temple, you went there to study communications and
Yes. And I got hired by my first employer, when I was still a junior
Mhm.
in college, and, that was in 1993.
At least you had a driver's license by then.
Then I could drive. That was good. That was very helpful.
Yeah.
And I stayed with that company until 2020.
Oh, wow.
How you like that?
Not bad.
How you like that? 27 years and during an ownership change. I was there the whole time,
Mm.
built it from 2 people, to upwards of 13 at one point, and we were
What?
doing millions of dollars of, voiceover and commercial production inventory all over the world.
Mhm.
And I built it.
Wow.
Not afraid to say it out loud. Built it.
I built it.
I built it.
So walk me through that. Like you're 23 years old, you're graduating from Temple University and you get a job right out of school and then it's just like, fuck, I just locked that down for 27 years?
Well, I didn't know I was gonna lock it down for 27 years, but I sure as shit we're gonna try. I mean, here's the deal. So I met a guy while still in college. I heard, I tell the story in the book as well. There's a gentleman who was making time with a certain young lady in a classroom, and he was saying, "Hey, I'm a board op for the All Request show on WYSP radio in Philadelphia." Now that station may not mean anything to you right now, but at the time it was the classic rock station in town. They ran Howard Stern in the morning. It was the big anchor station in the market.
Yeah.
And as soon as I heard that, I wanted to get in radio. My ears perked up, so me and him got to be friends
Mhm.
in a hurry. And I said, "What do I gotta do to get a job like you there?" And, he said, "Well, I'll tell you what I'll do." I said, "I'll get you an interview with the program director." I'm 19 years old, dumber than a box of rocks.
That's a great opportunity for a dumb as a box of rocks 19-year-old.
I probably was a box of rocks was smart compared to but he got me this interview, and I met a gentleman by the name of Tim Sabian, and Tim Sabian is known for being Howard Stern's program director.
Wow.
And I got a one-on-one
Mhm.
with him in a little conference room, and he sat and he said, "Listen, I'm gonna give you a job." I was like, "What? What are you gonna do?" He said, "Well, I want you to come in Sunday mornings, 5:30 a.m., and I want you to answer phones and screen calls for public affairs programming, which is mandated by the FCC."
Wow, talk about a rookie job.
Totally. And here's the best part. He said, "Guess what your salary is gonna be?
Nothing.
Not a penny." Now, the context of this whole thing happening was, here I am, uh, I was basically running the door at nightclubs on Fridays and Saturday nights, so I wouldn't even finish up work on a Saturday night till 3 in the morning.
Oh,
I
damn.
would drive home, take, like, an hour nap, change my clothes, drive all the way back to where the radio station was to be there at 5:30 in the morning to answer phones to the 6 people that called into this silly public affairs show that I had 0 interest in, but I was in the arena. I was able to meet the sales manager, the chief engineer, the sales staff, the production people, all that stuff, and I got to be known as, like, the little mascot, little kid running around the station, and when it came time for me to get my real internship, it was like, "Hey, Core, just bring in the paper, we'll sign it." There was no interview, anything. So that
You paid your dues.
I paid my dues, and I parlayed working for nothing at 5:30 AM on Sunday mornings to a full-blown internship for college credit,
Mhm.
and that's where I met a guy by the name of Paul Turner. He's a critical figure in this journey.
Mhm.
Paul Turner is the voice or was the voice of the Howard Stern Show.
Oh, really?
So if you ever listen to Howard or if you listen to old clips of Howard, he was the big, deep voice talent that said, "You're listening to the Howard Stern Show."
Oh,
The
nice.
big, deep voice announcer. And he was young. Everybody thought he was in his 50s. He was only 5 years older than me. He was 27. I was 22. And he hired me. He ended up hiring me to do his I did more gopher work for him.
Mhm.
Took his clothes to the dry cleaner, picked his lunch up, typed little labels for tapes that he had to send out for some of his other clients. And what did that turn into? One day he threw a bunch of scripts in front of me, some commercials for a little radio station in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. He said, "I want you to produce up all these commercials and these promos for this radio station, and I'm going to pay you $250." I thought I hit the freaking lottery, man.
Yeah, that was back when $250 was $250.
I mean, I was ecstatic because I'd have done it for nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't know what I was doing with any of the production equipment. So he allowed me, after I did all this gopher work for him, 9 to 5 for whatever, $5 an hour, whatever it was. He said, "Here's the keys to the studio with all the lights and buttons and switches and tapes and all that stuff." He said, "Teach yourself how to use this stuff."
Teach yourself.
Yeah, he said, so I'd make little tapes and screw up and I'd leave him a cassette nightly and he'd get in there in the morning and he'd play it and he would say, "Okay, how'd you do that? Let me show you the right way to do it." That's how I learned how to be an audio producer. So like I said, then he gave me work for pay, and that started to turn into project 1, project 2, project 10, and I was making all this freelance income producing up stuff for him, and then it got to the point where he said, "Hey, man, in order for me to justify paying you, you gotta go out and get me 10 new clients."
Yeah, right?
I didn't get in this for sales, brother.
Yeah.
I liked the production side. I liked, the on-air side, but I also understood that here I am, this little nothing working for a guy who works for Howard Stern. It's like a heartbeat away, it's like the vice president,
Right, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I said, "All right, I'm gonna make some sacrifices."
Hold on, now let's go back a sec. So you just said you were a little guy, but you're pretty ripped and you're huge. And we were standing up next to each other before we came into the studio. Like you're not a small guy. And you said earlier you were bouncing at nightclubs and stuff like that.
Yes,
So
sir.
when did you get into the physicality of existing? Because you weren't bouncing being like 150 pound
No,
19-year-old.
thank goodness I would have gotten my butt bit for sure.
Yeah, so, like, when did that part of your journey kind of begin? Because we'll come back to the radio stuff, we'll come back to Howard and stuff,
Sure.
but when did you just taking care of your body, become something that was important?
I
And
mean,
did it was it through sports?
I've been a gym rat since I'm probably 13 years old.
Mm.
I played high school sports. I was a baseball player, but I wasn't that big. I graduated high school as like 5'8", 185.
Mhm.
By the time I got my man weight around 20 years old, I was walking around ripped at 217.
Oh, wow.
Um, and my father saw an ad in the paper. He said, "There's a nightclub right up the street looking for a bouncer." And he knew I needed some part-time income. So I started doing that. But
Mhm.
I've always been in the gym. The friends I hang out with lift. I enjoy it anymore. It's therapy. Yes, I like being big and strong. I mean, I'm 52 years old, and I outlift half the guys that are 20.
Mhm.
But I need it for my my mental health.
Yeah, it's crucial, isn't it?
And it helps because, look, quite honestly, part of it is repellent.
Mhm.
There's a lot of interesting people in the world.
That's an understatement.
And if you can pass the eye test, you avoid a lot of trouble.
Mhm.
So I'm motivated to stay swole,
Yeah,
as they say.
that's nice.
And I don't want to jump too far ahead, but that's obviously all part of my brand,
Mhm.
of course.
Which is why I wanted to kind of find that origin story before we kept moving on, because I know what you're doing now, it involves kind of all of that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it's a metaphor for life. The
I
gym is
agree.
a metaphor for life.
Yeah.
You challenge yourself, do things you can't do, fail, sweat. It's if you can accomplish and make a progression in the gym, you can progress in life.
You know who I love? You know who I love? So finally, Arnold Schwarzenegger is like finally pretty much retired. Like he's no longer governor of California. I think he's making like one TV show now, but he's not like making like 2 or 3 movies a year like he used to. So he's on social media a lot,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And he's fucking hilarious. So he came out with a book. He's coming out with all these like he's becoming like a fitness guru and a lifestyle guru now that he's like in his 80s. And he like wrote out this like what he worked out for this morning and stuff like that. And someone wrote in on X or Instagram, I can't remember. Someone wrote onto his post and said, "Hey, buy me some weights. I want to start lifting weights." And he wrote back, he's like, "Body weight exercises only, no excuse."
There you go. There you go. That's typical Arnold right there. I love it though. I love it. I have a lot of respect for Arnold. I mean, obviously, coming up, he wasn't 80 when I started watching it.
Mhm,
It was prime Conan and the Terminator
mhm.
and all that stuff. And I bought Arnold's book when I was, in high school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's certain guys I follow. I mean, The Rock is a guy that for obvious reasons. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for. But yeah, I mean, taking care of yourself in the gym, like I said, it's a metaphor for life. It helps you on the inside too.
Mhm.
Mental health, blood pressure, heart, bones. There's just so many benefits to it. And for funsies, and I'm going all over the place here, but this is totally related. In the midst of running my production career and all that stuff for funsies in the heat of the recession in 2008, what did I do? I became a personal trainer and opened up a studio.
Mm,
And by the time I sold it, I had my own building 5 years later.
mhm.
And then I was able to afford a very expensive private school for my youngest
Oh,
off
wow.
of that sale, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But that was a means to an end there. But so bottom line is training in the gym is not something extra in my life.
Mhm.
It is something, it's like brushing my teeth. Before I came here, I was at the gym,
Yeah.
period. Every day.
Yeah.
I don't miss.
Yeah. That's epic.
Have to.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, I got a handful of people that follow me.
Mhm.
I'm not Gary Vaynerchuk out there. I have a decent social media following, but my attitude is you got to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk. I can't be walking around barking at people saying, you need to get in shape. You need to do it. No,
No.
watch me. I'm doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't you have to be the guy that does the stuff.
Got to walk the walk. A lot of phonies out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so back to Howard Stern. So now you had to get into sales. The guy was like, "Hey, bring me 10 new clients and I'll start paying you properly."
Yes, so I got him a dozen,
Ah,
and I had no idea what I was doing. And back then, I was using a phone with a cord and a phone book,
wow, paper.
paper, and I started dialing for dollars, and then got those clients on board, which turned into we were sharing the studios at the radio station at the time, but we got enough business to where he built standalone studios in another location,
Mhm.
which was key. And then from there, it didn't happen like in one conversation, but he basically handed me the keys and he said, "Go grow this thing," because it was just me and him.
Mhm.
And then that turned into I got an assistant, then that person got an assistant. Then I was producer, production director, general manager, which turned into vice president.
Mhm.
And when I left the company, we had 6, 7 producers. We had an administrative staff, had a sales team. It was that job, that career. Thank God I did. I met a lot of cool people. I worked with a lot of cool people. I'm proud that I did it, and it just reached a point where it became a little unfulfilling because I wasn't going to buy the company. I really wasn't interested in that.
Sure.
Um,
But 27 years, I mean, you put in your time,
Look, if I was a cop, I would have had a gold watch and a pension,
right?
but that didn't happen. So I
Right.
needed to do something else to fulfill me.
Mhm.
and also give me the freedom to be with my family.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the coaching thing was born.
So this other producer who hired you and gave you basically this radio studio, like what did you I mean, like what kind of shows were you running? Like how did you like you had to put together all that programming, you had to hire all the talent, like you had to do like you weren't just buying syndicated stuff
So
and running it, were you?
our specialty, our service was, is we were the production team for other radio stations,
Okay.
making like their top of the hour IDs and their promos. It's 2 for Tuesday on 96 Rock. And we would create all those little
I
announcements.
love how your voice just changed on that.
I try to do my best, Paul Turner. Paul, I love you. I'll never be able to imitate you if you listen to this. But and at the same time, we were using other voices and creating commercials.
Mhm.
So we were doing car dealerships and furniture stores and doctors and sports teams, and that turned into we were doing stuff for some NBA teams. We worked with the Philadelphia 76ers. We were doing pay-per-view boxing events. I did commercials from everybody from Mike Tyson, Oscar De La Hoya, Evander Holyfield, Roy Jones Jr. I got to go to some of these events, which is really cool.
Mhm.
So our specialty was commercials and also brokering, not so much being an agent, not so much being a manager, but offering a stable of voiceover announcers.
Mhm.
So it's like a one-stop shop. Hey, Mr. Ad Agency guy calls us up and says, hey, I've got a local business. They need a commercial. So can you write it? Yes. Can you get a voice talent for it? Yes. And can you produce it up with sound effects and music and distribute it to all the stations we need to send it to? That's what we did hundreds of times a month all over the country. We built this kind of cool model where we were calling up local ad agencies all over the United States and offering that service to them.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so I was a little confused because originally I thought like you were actually like running a radio station.
We were based out of a radio station,
Okay, there you go.
but
Yeah.
running a separate company.
Okay. Well, that's amazing then. So you were on the front of the spear for all the ad sales and everything that was coming through the door.
This was the face of the company. And we still made money, and we're still shocked. Yeah, we made money actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my thing. I was the face, I was the voice because, Paul Turner, who owned the company for about a decade before he sold it, he made it clear to me, he says, "I don't want to voice everything. I want you to bring other voices that don't sound like me, that are female, that are African American, that are Hispanic. Let's offer a range of voices so that people don't have to go shop elsewhere."
Yeah, it's smart.
And, that allowed him to have mailbox money
Mm.
without him having to dedicate his pipes to do it. And he was still doing that too.
Mhm.
And then eventually, like I said, after 10 years, he said, "You know what? I don't want to be the owner of a big corporation anymore. I just want to go voice my clients." And he sold the company to another gentleman who I stayed with for 17 more years.
It's really interesting how people get into the entertainment world through voice work.
It's a thing.
It is a thing. So I love Will Arnett, and he's Canadian. He's an actor. He's been in a lot of stuff. Arrested Development. I loved him in
Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live. Yeah, and his animated show where he plays the dog. What's that called
Oh,
on Netflix?
yeah. Forgive me that I don't know the name of that
I
one.
can't
I
remember.
should.
It's fucking brilliant. It's him and Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. They're the two main voices of
Oh,
it.
cool.
Yeah, and but the story is that he was in New York as a struggling actor, and he has this kind of great like deep voice, and he was like struggling as a comedian, struggling as an actor. I think he was in improv, like not stand up, and and then he got a commercial, and then he got another commercial, and then and then all of a sudden the commercials were paying his rent, and then all of a sudden he was doing like commercials that would pay for one commercial that would pay his entire rent for a year.
Yeah, like big union scale jobs and whatnot. Sure.
And he just said like if it wasn't for that like relaxation of financial stress on him personally, he never would have like had the chance to go to Saturday Night Live and go onwards in his career because
Great
he would
story.
have tapped out.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's a whole culture. I mean, I learned. I mean, I knew from voiceover from Paul Turner, but I was introduced to all these other people that did the same thing.
Mm.
And my wife says, "Oh my God, it's like a whole cottage industry." It literally is. There are millions of people that do it now. COVID had a say in that because you could record voiceover. I mean, look, we're speaking into very nice microphones here
Mhm.
in your studio here. And as you know, when Paul Turner built the studios that we moved into after I sold those dozen clients for him, he spent tens of thousands of dollars to put a studio together because the equipment, that's how much it costs.
Yeah.
But once that changed and the barrier of entry became much lower, where you can only spend a couple thousand to get a decent mic, a little interface, and you can plug it into your MacBook or whatever, all of a sudden you have a voiceover studio. So that flooded the market with all sorts of people recording from home.
Hmm.
And that's a whole other world right now.
And that started the podcast industry.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure, it's all related.
Mhm.
And we were able how that translated to the business that I ran, we made it a point to on purpose hire talent that worked from home instead of waiting for them to come in to record. Even though we had beautiful professional booths and Neumann U87 microphones that cost 8 grand,
Mhm.
et cetera, we would rather use a talent that could deliver something to us in a couple hours that day than have to schedule later in the week and wait.
Mhm.
But I could go on and on just about that too.
It's really interesting that you were in that business for 27 years because you would have had a front row seats to the chaos that improvements in technology created in the audio recording studio space.
I
Like,
saw it happen in real time.
yeah,
We
like
started with moving tape,
yeah, like with the little
quarter inch reel-to-reel tape
yeah.
or multi-track like you would see in like for music recording where it's a little wider and they're, manually recording 8 tracks on one piece of tape going by.
Mhm.
And I ran those machines, but that graduated to digital production. It graduated to burning things on CD or digital audio tape. And I remember when sending audio over the internet was groundbreaking.
Mhm.
People take like, you click on your phone now and you have a song in a second.
Mhm.
I remember laying on the floor. We were delivering some voiceover, 45 seconds worth of voiceover to a TV show that used to air on it's called UPN, called The Lost World.
Mhm.
Okay. It took an hour
Wow.
for 45 seconds of
Mhm.
audio, waiting and watching the little progress wheel turn slowly.
Mhm.
So I remember all that happening. I remember there used to be a system called DGS to send commercials from point to point, and ISDN, what used to be a thing.
Mhm.
For those that are interested in those things, that was point to point voiceover recording. If you were here and you had an ISDN box, you could be connected to a studio in, let's just say, London,
Mhm.
and they could be recording you in full fidelity using that piece of equipment. But it's very expensive. The phone lines were expensive. If you had one of those setups in your studio, it means you were legit,
Mhm.
but eventually you had a very expensive doorstop
Wow.
when that stuff became obsolete.
Mm.
So I saw that get phased out. Um, and saw everyone move to digital. It was a thing.
Yeah.
But like I said, it got a little played out for me. Just kind of got tired of doing it when you're looking at hundreds of commercials a month and listening to those commercials to see if, the quality control them. You just get tired of television and radio in general.
I'm wondering if after, like, because you left in 2020, so it's
Correct.
27 years. I'm wondering what that business is looking like today, because I feel like now you've got people doing AI voiceovers, you've got people borrowing other people's voices, you have all these like websites, AI websites where you can create advertisements and copy using like authorized voices that receive like a income when you use their voice. Like,
Sure.
this whole business has gone on
It's much different. It's very competitive. Yeah, oddly enough, well, it's not odd. It makes total sense. In my coaching business, a big segment of the people I started coaching were voiceover talent on how to market their businesses.
really.
I was giving them the blueprint of how I grew this studio business. I was helping them because most of them are very good at this.
Mhm.
They have their voice, the craft, the acting ability, they can enunciate, but can they turn it into a business? That's where most of them are underachievers.
Yeah, budgeting's hard.
Well, budgeting, advertising, marketing, client service, some folks don't even know how to generate their own invoices.
Mhm.
So I was teaching all of that, and I can see, and I still have clients that are in the voiceover industry now. And there's a whole war that's raging. AI, there are services that offer pay to play access to websites where certain talent live and certain talent has certain preferences. They're able to get jobs faster than others. There are these voiceover conventions
Mhm.
that, talent flock to. I mean, everywhere you throw a rock, someone's calling themselves a voiceover coach.
There's a
Um,
lot of coaching out there.
there's a lot of let's just say there's a lot of coaches. Maybe not necessarily coaching.
I like that. There's a lot of coaches, but not a lot of coaching.
We'll leave it right there.
We'll leave it there, yeah. I mean, I'm like everyone, I guess we all just get bombarded on social media from
Everyone's an expert.
that's where we are now, huh?
Everyone's an expert. Well, look, I mean, here's the reality. There's so many people entering in the market, whether it's voiceover, whatever the entrepreneurship is, because of the internet, there are a lot of people that are trying to fake it till they make it. And then there are other folks out there that are capitalizing on that,
Mhm.
where they're snake oil salesmen, or I always say, just because someone is a lap ahead of you in the marathon doesn't mean they've won a gold medal in a marathon.
Mhm.
And I rail against that all the time in the coaching world.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you want to work with someone that has done it. Pick someone that has done what you want to do, not someone that has maybe done it a little longer than you, someone that has had a proven, sustained track record of success.
Mhm.
And there's, quite frankly, there's not as many of those as I wish there was.
Very, very few.
Um, and that's a big sort of place where I hang my shingle. It's like, hey man, you want to make it? I was you.
Mhm.
I'm not very smart. You know, I'm smart enough to know that I don't have to work for somebody else.
Right? Yeah.
And you want to learn how to do it? I'll show you.
It's interesting, like, I feel like 30, 40 years ago, like, people used to, like, have mentors, and mentors would, you know, help you along in your career, and maybe they were in a similar career, and they would kind of, teach you where the pitfalls were and try to help you advance and try to help you what bosses want and what clients want, and
100%.
yeah.
100%.
But nowadays, everyone's work is so individualized, and we're all even when you're working for a company, sometimes your job can be very entrepreneurial. And now I feel like people don't want to give up all these secrets of how they do this and how they do that and how they do that, because it's no longer automated, and it's no longer analog. Everything's digital, everything's faster. They have all kinds of tools. Which tools are you using? Which tools aren't you using? You have all these things. So now no one wants to be a mentor. No one wants to give up their secrets of how you do a podcast or how you make a TV show. So you can see now why a coach who's coming in to this space with a proven track record can be super valuable, because no one who's in their 50s wants to tell a 30-year-old how to do all the tricks in the bag.
Well, the difference is, you were talking about how it used to be. There was not this proliferation of information
Right.
out there. There was no Google. We had Encyclopedia Britannica. Okay, and that sucked.
And a lot of them.
Yeah, or the Dewey Decimal System and the card catalog at the library if you wanted to do research. You couldn't just, tap a few clicks of a mouse and have instant access to video content, articles on how to do anything, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem,
Mhm.
because people think that the information is what drives the success, and it's not. It's
And
the application
for sure.
of the information. That's where a good coach comes in handy, because they show them how to apply it. They keep them accountable.
Mhm.
They find out what barriers or what obstacles they're encountering that prevents them from applying it.
Mostly mental.
100%, man. 100%. Most folks they're rocking chair entrepreneurs. You know what that is?
Walk me through that.
Okay. A rocking chair entrepreneur, they're moving. They ain't going nowhere.
Just with the single malt at night, just sitting.
If they're lucky, they can afford single malt. Probably malt liquor.
Public malt liquor. Yeah. Oh, fuck, that's funny. Yeah, they're just sitting there and moving, but they're not going anywhere.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's a lot of these low-end coaches that come in there that are able to sell their advice or services on the cheap,
Mhm.
and it devalues what real coaching is.
Mhm.
Think about it. The most decorated champions in sport, whatever else, Muhammad Ali had a coach.
Mhm.
You take a guy right now like Derek Jeter, who played for the New York Yankees, Hall of Famer, had a manager, he had a coach.
Yeah.
They want they thrive on getting that feedback, having that mirror held up to them and go, "What little improvement can I make to be unstoppable?"
Mhm.
That's what, everyone needs to go. I have coaches.
Yeah. Well, we all have blind spots, right? Like, we need people to see our blind spots because we are all thinking we're doing fucking great or we're doing everything just right, but, there can be glaring blind spots, and that term exists for a reason.
Yeah, because you can't see what you're screwing up with. But if people truly want to get better, they have to leave their ego at the door
Mhm,
and work with someone who's going to level with them, tell them the truth, whether it sounds good or not. I just had to tell somebody today. I wrote them an email. I said, "Listen, you're not gonna like me, but," and then I gave them the what for right there.
mhm,
And thank goodness that was sort of a come to Jesus moment for that guy. He was either gonna tell me to pound sand, or he wrote me back and he said, "It's exactly what I needed. Thanks, coach."
mhm.
And here's the kicker. It wasn't even my client anymore. I just called him out on something. I saw he was doing something wrong. I reached out to him. I go, "Yo, dude, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, it boils down to holding people accountable, um, and making sure they're applying what they learn.
How yeah, and it's and you really do have to push people to do that because a lot of people just don't have the self-discipline to do it on their own.
Hardly any.
Mm.
I mean, that's a big reason I have a business because, like I said, there are coaches out there that are, have more degrees than I do. I don't know how many have the experience I have.
Fancy alphabet soup is nothing to be too excited about.
Alphabet soup. I love that term. I use that one all the time.
Yeah, BA, MA, PhD, blah, 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 blah,
All
blah,
these
blah, blah.
little anagrams and whatever else. It's like,
Doctors, doctors, doctors.
yeah, it's like, like I said, you know,
Do you remember that scene in Spies Like Us? I'm sorry, I just saw an advertisement for Spies Like Us.
that's an oldie but a goodie.
Do you
Little Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase.
do you remember them when they're in the tent and it's like doctor, 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 doctor when they're saying all the doctor, doctors when they're meeting,
There you go.
oh, so fucking good.
But there's a lot of that out there, and, people need more than just that.
Mhm.
They need a little edge. They need that accountability. They need honesty, directness. I just wish there were more of I wish there was more of it, but I'm glad there's not more of it because that's a lane that I can fill.
How long were you into your 27-year career in the commercial production and stuff like that you were doing for the radio channels? How long were you into that 27 career where you started thinking like, I need a change at some stage? Like, was it year 20? Was it year 25? Like, when did you start thinking like, okay, I want to be a coach? And then how did you build that up as you were leaving?
So, I have a very specific answer to that
I'm
question.
loving it. Yeah.
So, first thing you need to understand is there were 2 things going on at the same time at that point in my life. We're talking about 2016, 17-ish in there. The first thing that was going on is I had mentioned this earlier in our discussion, I was feeling unfulfilled because I wasn't gonna buy the company. I'd taken it to a pretty good level. We were making consistent income. We were feeding a lot of families, basically. I didn't wanna buy it, so I knew that this wasn't where I was gonna spend my 40s and 50s.
What was that like? Just knowing that you're in a place that's a good place, but you know it's not the place that you're going to end up in.
It was a high wire act because I had kids too. I got a mortgage to pay and
Mm,
car payments and mouths to feed and tuition and all those things. So there was some days where I just had to suck it up.
mhm,
I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to be there, but I went and I did it because I had people that were responsible for me with my own last name and others in the building of the office that didn't have my last name. But if I didn't pull my weight, they didn't make money.
mhm,
So I had that going on, and at the same token, my youngest son was a very accomplished high school athlete,
mhm.
to the degree where he had both Division I and professional scouts looking at him in high school,
And this was baseball?
baseball.
Yeah.
And we knew by the time he was like a sophomore, that he was going to play somewhere out of Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
Like he was going to go to a big school most likely. And I had seen every baseball game since, he was 5 years old, and I'll be damned if I was gonna miss one
Mhm.
because I was chained to some office in Philly. So knowing that in 2020 he's graduating high school, I had to develop something that I later coined, not at the time, later called my Shawshank plan.
Oh, that's a good movie.
So you're gonna understand the reference,
I will.
okay?
I just hope you didn't have to climb through a mile of shit to get to your freedom.
Not literally, but I sure as hell did it figuratively.
Figuratively is better, I hope.
Yeah. But you understand the point, is I had some pain to get where I wanted to go, and that pain was more of let me jump back for a second. So I had this unfulfillment, and I had the trajectory of my son,
Mhm.
Eventually, those things are going to come to a head in the summer of 2020. So
That was a COVID summer too.
sure was.
Yeah.
And I didn't, obviously we didn't know that was coming, but in around 2018, I'd been on LinkedIn for a long time. I think it's like 2006 when it used to be the resume site, which is obviously no longer is. And I would see people on there doing these little talking head videos and giving advice and pointing their finger and you need to do this and you need to conduct yourself this way. And they're speaking very directly. I'm thinking, I could do that.
Mhm.
I could do that. So there was one fellow who I was following. He had a massive following on LinkedIn, very popular, very established. I sent the guy a DM. I go, hey man, would you hop on the phone with me? I want to learn more about what you do.
Mhm.
And sure enough, the guy gave me a phone call.
Oh, that was nice of him.
Super nice. I'll mention his name. Let's plug him. Steve Noodleberg. He's still out there now. He's awesome. He's based out of Florida. Love the guy. And he gave me a phone call and we talked and I told him what my situation was. My son, I'm unfulfilled. I want to do something different. And I made a statement to him that generated a statement back to me that hit me in the head like a Louisville Slugger.
Mhm.
I said, "Hey man, Steve, if I could be half as good as you, I'll be very happy." And he said, "Corey, you are what you say you are." I was like, "Oh,
Whoa,
that's
mind blown.
heavy." Yeah. I was like, "Whoa." And that propelled me to start conducting myself with the as if mentality. I'm a coach already. I've been coaching employees forever.
Mhm.
I've been a coach on the athletic field. I've been a coach. I owned a gym. I was coaching people one on one. So I started putting myself out there saying, hey, voice talent, actors, creatives, designers, you need somebody to help you with your marketing. I'm your guy, blah, blah, blah. So that started because I wanted to have a business that wouldn't compete with the production business.
A little freelance side hustle.
Little side hustle, little moonlight. Because everybody said, hey, Core, go be an agent. Go start your own production company. You brought in all the business anyway. I didn't want to do people dirty like that.
Mhm.
I certainly could have done that. But I wanted to do something that was related, but not competing. So I started taking coaching calls early in the morning. I started doing coaching calls in the evening. I also, before it was a thing, I worked from home 2, 3 days a week.
Mhm.
So I would slide in a coaching call here, a coaching call there. And I was charging a pittance just to get experience.
Mhm.
And I built it up to where I was doing 15, 20 calls a week. I started to make some money with this thing.
Mhm.
And it got to the point where I had so many coaching accounts, I was making the same money as my salary at the production company.
Oh, wow. Congrats. That's a huge, like, leveler, isn't it?
Well, that was the indicator. It's like, okay, I can live off this income. I could pay my bills on it. It wasn't just funny money.
Mhm.
Um,
Can I ask you a few questions about that? Like,
Go ahead.
because coaching is a delicate balance, right? Like, you've gotta be able to put pressure on people to get shit done according to their self, aligned goals that you guys come up with and
Mhm.
timelines and things like that. Like, what's it like, when you've only got, like, 3 clients you're coaching and you're also fumbling around trying to figure it out? Like, what is it, how nerve-wracking is that, like, in your first, like, 3 or 6 months when you only have a handful of people you're coaching and you're trying to help them as best they can? You're trying to help them help themselves, right?
I knew in my mind,
There's a question in there somewhere.
I got it. What drove me,
Yeah.
even if I made a mess, even if I screwed up, which by the way, that's a big thing that I teach all of my clients. Don't be afraid to screw up and make a mess. I knew that I had to find or develop a handful of success stories, social proof, because I couldn't forever say, I'm a good coach, hire me. Okay. I needed other people to say, I hired Corey. Here's what happened after he worked with me.
Mhm.
So I busted my rear end. Yes, I made some money off it, but I often did $3 worth of work for $2, because I knew I was accumulating remarketing value and I needed to get more street cred because I knew once I had a certain amount, hit a tipping point, I would have a certain amount of clients that I could say, well, I've worked with 25 people, I've worked with 50 people, and I could pump my rates up.
What is that tipping point? Like, how many clients have you would have had to have helped for you to tell a new potential client that that is a successful coach?
I made a pact with myself when I started this business.
Mhm.
Every year I was gonna pump my rates up. So that put the pressure on me to accumulate more accounts, because I had to show there was value there. That because this many people work with me, I am worth this new price.
Mhm.
And I still do it to this day. And I'm starting in September. I'll say you got 100 days left to lock in your 2025 rates because they're
Mhm.
going up in 2026. I've been running that play. It's like the end around sweep by the Green Bay Packers in the 60s.
Mhm.
They just run it and they score every time. That's what I do. Um, but like I said, I put the pressure on myself to accumulate the accounts to show that I was worthy. And there was no plan B.
Mhm.
It wasn't like, well, if I don't, I'll keep the rates the same. No, no, they're going up. I'm gonna get the accounts.
Mhm.
And I was relentless. Period. That's what drove me. There was no, when I get to 20 more accounts, I'll pump the rates up. No, it was like, I'm pumping the rates up. I gotta go get 20 more accounts.
So you pump the rates up every year and you're just constantly kind of onboarding fresh clients.
Yes, but the nice luxury that I have now is I don't need the same amount of clients to make the same amount of money.
Right, and that's what I mean, like, at the beginning, it must have just been nerve-wracking because you only had a handful of clients, you weren't making any money, and you were kinda bending over backwards doing $3 of work for $2, like you mentioned, like, trying to just help them as much as they could so you could get a good reference, so you could get a good testimonial from them so that they could help you further your marketing.
Well, that nerve-wracking was not as nerve-wracking as having to report to work for somebody else every day.
Right. Well, I think
That was refreshing, and remember, Shawshank.
yeah.
I chipped away at that wall every day and sprinkled the dust in the yard
Did you cut holes in your pockets?
every day, brother, every day, because I knew one day I was breaking free.
So a lot of people think that actually, like, going to a job and dealing with a boss and failing in that scenario with a boss and in a company is actually maybe better because you have other people to rely on and you have other people to share the weight of the mistake or the failure or whatever. And when you're coaching by yourself, not only is there no one around you to share the blame, but you're the fucking coach. Like you've got to have all the right answers, right? Like to me that's a lot of pressure.
I always operated with a lot of pressure anyway. Even when I worked for somebody else, I absorbed everything anyway. I
So
was the
same
face.
same.
Same. It's just, but now, and if something went wrong, I just yelled at myself.
Mm.
That's all. I mean, instead of calling an employee into my office and having a sit down with him, why did this happen? Let's fix it. Here's a solution. It was, okay, Corey, you really mucked that up. What are we going to do so that doesn't happen again? And it wasn't, building my business did not happen without flaw. I'm not exempt from that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm glad that I messed up because now I can tell other folks what landmines to avoid
Mhm.
because I've already screwed up.
But the buck really does stop with you,
100%. There's nobody that, like, what I say is the law.
which is also good.
Yeah. I mean, look, and there are times where I have to kind of put that hat on and say, hey, you got to listen to the core man here.
Mhm.
But then there are other times where, clients are reassured that I don't have to go check with anybody. I don't need permission.
Mhm.
I'll make the decision right there. And I think that's key because if you're going to pay somebody to help navigate your career, your life, whatever it is, you don't want that guy to have to sit and mull it over. You want an answer.
Or have to check with anyone else.
Yeah, or have
Yeah.
to double check with anybody. It's like, how much confidence you gonna have if you gotta go run to this person or that person? It's like, no, no, give that to me.
Mhm.
I'm your big brother. I got you. I got your back. Give me your aggravation. I'm gonna help you through it.
Mhm. That's wild.
That's what I do, man.
So, okay, so you start your side hustle, you start kind of coaching, you start doing some freelance work, you're making the same money you're making in your full-time job as
Yep.
in your side hustle. And then what? Your kid gets
So
drafted or goes to college, and how did that work out?
he had an opportunity to get drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates out of high school, which he refused,
Okay, wow.
just because the money wasn't worth him not going to college.
Mhm.
And we made a family decision on that. And he wanted the college experience. He wanted the girls and the frat house and the parties and all that stuff. Plus, he knew he wanted the degree at the time. Um, and it turned out that he got a scholarship. He got very good dude money to go to the University of Richmond,
Oh, wow,
kind of like
Virginia, yeah.
yeah, Yale South,
Mhm.
basically. And he was a smart kid out of high school. Um, and he was going to be on campus there in August of 2020. So, here we are. He had committed to that school about a year and a half prior to that. So we knew the finish line was coming.
So you were gonna move to Virginia?
Period.
Oh, wow. So you're gonna leave Philly after 27 or after 31 years, including Temple.
Yes, we were going to leave Philly and we were going to go because, I mean, for those who are unfamiliar with the geography, to drive from Philadelphia to Richmond, Virginia,
It's like 4 hours, right?
try 5.5 with no traffic.
Oh, shit. Yeah, okay.
And if you're familiar with I-95, it's kind of a smaller 405 or the 5 out here. It's, you know, constant traffic. It's a mess. It could take 8 hours.
At least you got a train.
Yeah, I could have done that, but yeah,
Mm.
I too want too much control to ride in a train.
There's no West Coast trains for anyone out there.
Yeah. So we decided that we were going to move to a little small town south of Richmond, only 2 hours away with no major highways, so we can get there pretty quick. And we moved to a little town called South Boston, Virginia, about 10 miles from North Carolina border.
South Boston, Virginia, not South Boston, Massachusetts.
Correct. Correct. South Boston, Virginia, to a little like one horse town, a little apartment we moved. I had a big house and we moved into a little, 2-bedroom apartment, just my wife and I, because we wanted to be near him. Obviously COVID hit in March, which made things crazy. But after his first year at the University of Richmond, that was the COVID year. There's all sorts of things that happened on behind the scenes.
Did he end up playing? Like, did they close? Did
They
they?
had a season,
Yeah,
but he didn't play too much.
yeah.
And that was, that was part of that factored into the decisions that we made next. Um, like I said, he was a pretty accomplished ball player. He'd been getting looked at by some professional scouts, and I had a friend at the time who was a Major League Baseball agent in Southern California, lived in Laguna Niguel. And he said to me, if you want your son to play professional baseball, he has to come out to Southern California and play and show well around these guys because it's a different brand of baseball in California than it is in the Northeast.
Really? Walk me through that. I'm not sure, like, because like obviously it's great here because you can play 12 months a year.
Bingo.
Is that it? Like,
That's the biggest thing.
yeah.
And, because you can't play outside, for 4 or 5 months a year in the Northeast. But in general, states like California, Florida, Texas, Georgia produce a lot of quality talent. Um, and there's a junior college conference here called the OEC, the Orange Empire Conference. And he told me, he said, look, if your son can come here, make a team and do well, he's going to get seen.
Mm.
So
Make like a AAA team.
no, like if he makes the team in college
Okay.
and shows well, he'll have an opportunity to get seen either by a different Division I school, a la USC or UCSD or etc., or he might get looked at by some pro teams. So sure enough, we spent a weekend. We toured 4 or 5 schools in the area. He picked this one in particular called Saddleback Junior College. He liked the coach a lot. So after 11 months in Virginia, I packed that house up, drove in an RV, 2,700 miles with my son and my dog, and packed like the Beverly Hillbillies.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved sight unseen into a different apartment solely to help support him and say, hey, you're going to live with us at home. We're going to help you with your cooking and your cleaning and all that stuff. You just got to hit the books and hit the ball.
Yeah.
And he went out there and put up video game numbers and then got drafted in the 12th round by the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh shit! And then he went back to Philly,
Then he went back to Philly. Where's that now?
and you stayed here.
And we stayed here because we love it.
Yeah.
We love it. But
That's exciting for him. That's wild. That's amazing.
yeah, we just left. We just got done. We were in the middle of Nowhere, Kentucky to watch him play a series against the team there.
Nowhere
minor league.
Kentucky's lovely.
Nowhere, Kentucky. It actually really wasn't that bad. I mean, I'm kind of kidding around by saying it's Nowhere, Kentucky, but it was mildly suburban.
You know.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
I was in Louisville once. That was a nice place. Nice people.
We were in Bowling Green,
Oh wow. Yeah.
well, like a stone's throw from the Western Kentucky University campus. Whatever that means. For go Western Kentucky. All the fans of Western Kentucky. But we had a good time there. But so yeah, the moral of the story is we knew his baseball was going to take him different places, and I wanted a career that wasn't chained to a zip code or a brick and mortar building. I wanted to have that control of when I made my money so I could spend time with my family.
That's amazing. That's a lot of forethought to get there.
That was my goal.
Yeah.
It wasn't to be rich or wealthy or to have fancy things. I mean, look, we live out in Southern California. It ain't cheap. You got to make a decent living out here to live out here comfortable. But I am not a wealthy man. But what I am rich at is time with my family, quality time with my wife. I just got done seeing both of my sons over the last 2 weeks. I wake up every morning, have a cup of coffee. We see the sun come up. It's an amazing thing. We're 10 minutes from the beach. You know how it is. You're not far yourself, so you get it.
The sun shines every fucking day.
Yes, and you can't. Like I said, no snow to shovel.
And it's pretty amazing just how the thing that I've only lived here for about 18 months,
Okay.
just so you know. I lived in China before, I lived in Dubai, I lived in Switzerland for a while, born in Canada. But the thing about it here and that I didn't really realize is just like every day the sun shines. Like every morning you wake up not feeling like shit just because you know the sun's going to come out that day. And that alone is such a huge psychological boost to be productive and do things.
Oh my God! Like I want to do this to you. Like yes, it's exact. You're exactly right.
I mean, I used to live in Toronto, for example, or even parts of Switzerland when I was there for a bit. Like the sun would go down at 4 p.m., and then it would get dark, and
And
then
you're miserable.
it wouldn't come back up till like 10 a.m., and there would be snow and freezing rain, and it's like just fuck all that.
And not for nothing, the temperature is around 70 degrees year round.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it swings into the high 50s in the wintertime and maybe gets to the 90s in the heat of the summer, but I had to find a pair of long pants to come see you today, bro.
I know it's shorts all the time. I'm wearing pants just for you, actually.
Well, shit, the next time it's fucking gym shorts, man.
Shorts and whiskeys for sure. Okay, so you come out. Oh, so that's amazing. So you took your kid to Virginia, basically. I mean, he got the scholarship, but you went there with him and agreed as a family, basically, that it's not happening here. Let's
Yes.
get you out to Southern Cal. And then you fucking drove him and your family out to Southern Cal, got him into the right program, and within a year he's drafted.
With zero guarantee.
That's incredible.
Zero.
Yeah.
Like it was, he bet on himself
Mhm.
and we had faith in him.
Wow.
Now, I also, like I said, I told him, if we're doing this, you're not going to be going to frat parties every night.
Wow.
And he had to take extra classes because some classes didn't transfer because in order to be eligible to either go to a D1 school or to go in the draft, he needed an associate's degree.
Mhm.
And he just didn't have enough credits. So most kids will take 12 to 15 credits a semester.
Mhm.
He took 43 in 2 semesters
Oh,
and played baseball.
all right.
And they have both a fall and a spring season out here in California.
Mm.
So he dedicated himself, and the proof's in the pudding. He's in his 4th minor league season with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Mhm.
We're very proud of him, but yeah, we're not going back to the Northeast. Everybody says, "Well, your son's in the Phillies organization. When he makes it to the pros, you move him back to Philly?" Nope.
Unless he's a Yankee.
Well, we're not moving to New York. That's for sure. Well, you got to remember, they only play half the games at home.
That's right.
So, and then he's going to make a West Coast Dodgers, Padres, Giants,
Mm.
Diamondbacks. There's a team in Vegas now. So, we're only a stone's throw away.
I haven't been to a professional baseball game since I want to say like 2005 or 6. And I just checked this schedule. The Blue Jays are coming in the American League National League swap. They're coming and playing the Dodgers in July, and I want to go.
Enjoy, man. Just get ready to pay a lot for a hot dog.
I bet, right?
I went to a Dodger game and I bought a beer, a
Mm,
Coke, and 2 hot dogs, $58.
that sounds about right.
Last time I went to Dodger Stadium.
But they won. You got to go once. At least I got to go once.
I could say I went. It's a beautiful park, but there are other. I like these little minor league parks, which are kind of cool
Yeah.
because especially when you got a horse in the race. I don't pay for parking. I don't pay for tickets. At home games, it's 40% off everything.
Mm.
Concession stand, the swag, all that stuff. They treat you like $1,000,000.
So for him playing in the minor leagues for the Phillies, does he have a West Coast swing where you can watch him play?
Nah, he plays in what's called the South Atlantic League right now, and the furthest west was where we just saw him in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Okay.
Most of its stuff's on the East Coast.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you got a good entry point to the bourbon land.
Yeah, but we've like I said, we watched him a couple games in New Jersey first, then we followed him out to Kentucky to watch a week. But we've traveled up to New York. They play in Maryland, they play in Delaware, they were in South Carolina the week before that. We didn't go there, but we try to catch we probably do like 4 to 5 trips a spring and summer to watch him play.
Mhm.
It's fun, man.
I love that. I mean, your coaching career is amazing. The commercial career you had before that was amazing too. But how you navigated this stuff with your son or for your son or in collaboration with your family is pretty impressive that you made all that happen in like a 2-year span.
Well, what are you supposed to do as a dad?
Well, most dads just fucking don't do anything, or they just, do their work and the kids raise themselves. And then, at 18 or 22, you move out of the house, you do your own fucking thing. When I was 22, I moved to China.
Well, I mean, look, that's an a story. I should be interviewing you about that. But, look, when you see your child has potential, not that he's a fan or it's a nice activity. When you see and you other people start to tell you, "Hey, that kid can play at the next level." And that started at a very young age. It's like, "Hey, that kid can play on this travel team that's very, that wins all the time. Your kid can play at this high school, which is the number 1 high school in Pennsylvania for baseball. Your kid's gonna play at Division I school on scholarship. Your kid can get looked at by the Pittsburgh Pirates and by the New York Mets and by the Texas Rangers." I mention all them because they all sat in my kitchen.
Mhm.
When that starts happening, it's like, why wouldn't you drop everything to relieve any obstacles or barriers for him achieving that goal? Because quite honestly, bro, I'm saying this in the most positive way. My life is done. I've done a lot of cool things.
Mhm.
I've worked at a nice job. I made a lot of money. I married, my sweetheart. That whole thing. I've checked all the boxes. It's legacy now.
Mhm.
What are my kids gonna do? What can I do? What can I pass along to them? How can I help them? Not do it for them, not, grease the wheel for them, but what doors can I help open so they can go make something of themselves?
And maybe it's just a geographical switch.
Maybe it's driving 3,000 miles into an apartment sight unseen
Mhm.
in the middle of COVID, tripling my monthly nut because I was paying a third for rent in Virginia that I pay now in Southern California. But he did
Yes.
all of that for him.
Mhm.
And look, for however long his career lasts, whether he's a career minor leaguer or whether he gets a call to the show in a few years, it's totally worth it
Mhm.
because no one will ever be able to take away from him that he was a professional baseball player. And he got drafted. I don't know if the camera can see that.
Yeah.
362nd overall, right there.
Oh, there's it on your hand. Yeah,
Right
so
there.
put it up here. That's your camera there. Yeah, a little bit.
There
Oh,
it
yeah,
is.
362. There you go.
There it is. So he got
Alright.
drafted 362nd overall. They
Nice.
only draft 600 players a year. So he was among 600 guys drafted in 2022. He's an elite company.
What position?
Catcher.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, he's a beast too.
My cousin was a catcher. He played for, I wanna say Southern Alabama,
Oh, okay.
and he got a scholarship, and then he was in the Blue Jays program for a while
Nice.
and then retired.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look, hopefully he'll play long enough to where he can get a pension or maybe he turns into a coach one day. Who knows? But,
Mhm.
for the last 4 years, he's been playing professional baseball and they say he's got a bright future, but there's no timeline on that. I don't know when he'll get called to the next level, but it's been a fun ride so far.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm
Mm.
very, very lucky.
So, so your son's need, according to that agent that you spoke with in Southern California, his need to play out here in Southern California to be able to play 12 months a year, obviously did wonders for his career. He put up crazy numbers, got drafted. So what was it like for you and your coaching business to relocate to California, and how has this part of the world kind of helped your coaching business?
Well, I mean, I had the coaching business starting in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
I took it with me to Virginia. I mean, it really was nothing more than an address change and dealing with the time difference.
So it's all remote.
100%.
Wow.
All remote. I mean, I've had some in-person meetings. Usually it's over dinner,
Mhm.
over a beer or something, but, and I'll do some speaking engagements here and there, but yeah, it's all from the comfort of my home.
Mhm.
And these people that say, "Oh, I have to go to an office. I couldn't work from home." Are you kidding? I'll never ever want to go into an office again. I love working from home.
Yeah.
It's the best.
You're able to switch it on?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife even knows. All right, I'm jumping on some calls now. Go away.
Mhm.
Don't talk. Turn the TV down, etc. because she knows every time I pick up that phone, she's one step closer to Louis Vuitton or whatever else she wants.
Right.
It's real simple.
It is.
Let me do my thing, put up with me for those few hours that I do that, and she'll have her retail therapy as needed.
Yeah, because a lot of people, like, they need to get out of their house in order to switch their brain on, in the morning, or they need to, like, to have some kind of, like, location change to, like, feel productivity and feel productive and feel useful, and
Here comes a full circle moment.
I'm ready.
Are you ready? That's what the gym is for me.
Yeah, it's
Because
true.
I go to a gym. I
Yeah.
get in the car, I drive to the gym, and I take my time.
Mhm.
I mean, my actual workout probably doesn't take hour and 10 minutes, but I'm there for 2 hours because I take my time.
Mhm.
I talk to the guy at the front desk, and maybe I'll check some emails or social media messages in between sets because I just need that change.
Mhm.
But I enjoy being at home. I love my house. We're, like I said, very lucky. I live in a gated community. This ham and egger guy from Philly lives in a gated community in Southern California. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You haven't started golfing yet, have you?
I'm trying to learn.
There we go.
I'm trying to learn. My buddy Tony out here is just starting to teach me, oddly enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's just beautiful out here everywhere, right? So it's hard not to.
We tell our family in the Northeast all the time, we're not moving back. You just don't understand. You have to come out here.
Yeah.
And they say, what do I don't go to California?
Mm.
Come out once you, and everybody comes and they hang out. They go, wow, it really is nice out here.
Nobody leaves.
Huh. I mean, look, the cost of living here, the sunshine tax is a bitch.
Mhm.
But if you can navigate that, it's pretty damn good life out here
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a huge exodus since COVID of people, like, moving from, Southern California, Los Angeles, that's, Austin, all that. Yeah, sure.
Sure. Well, look, there's a whole political layer to that. We'll leave it at that.
Mhm.
But as far as weather, vibe, it's really tough to beat.
So what's the main thing you're helping with your clients as a coach? Like, what are some of the main issues that they're dealing with personally or professionally that you're kind of helping them work through? Like, can you kind of give me a variety of, like, situations that you've been put in over the last couple of years?
Well, I mean, look, the biggest thing is, I mean, it's kind of on my shirt, the excuses and consistency. F excuses, be consistent. Love it. Most people simply can't tolerate a rinse and repeat lifestyle, which is very boring. Most successful people lead very boring existences because they do the same set of tasks every day. It's like brushing your teeth. I teach people how to brush their teeth. Most folks have no routine.
Mhm.
What is your routine? Some folks, it starts with the most granular little things: making your bed, folding your laundry, eating similar meals at similar times, going to the gym, or taking time to grow your social media, or to create content. Most people, for them, it's a chore. It's not something that is woven into the fiber of their day. That's why they're not successful. So I come in and I give them a layer of accountability, and we check up on them every 2 weeks, and I can monitor with hard data, followers, views, impressions, etc., or just through anecdotal discussion. What did you get accomplished? And if something didn't get accomplished, it usually is they broke their routine.
Mhm.
So consistency, not making excuses, you know, punching failure in the face. That's a big thing I say.
Are you helping these clients of yours? Like, are you helping them put together business plans or find ways of building a business? Or are you helping them more just about them, like, being more consistent, being more present, being more
It's a little bit of
aggressive?
both.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different starting point,
Right.
and everyone has their different strengths and weaknesses. And it's my job in the beginning to get to know the crust of that person.
Right. Because that's the key, is
Some
figuring
other
out.
folks, what works for one person, I just don't take the cookie cutter approach and give it to the next person. Ultimately, they are put on some sort of consistent track, but what makes up their track varies from person to person.
Mhm.
Because some folks are very good online, some folks are very good in person, some folks like to talk on the phone, some folks can't get out of bed to go to the gym for whatever reason, or refuse to not drink beer. Y Everyone's a little different.
Mhm.
You just gotta find out, you gotta get to know them. So it evolves over time. I have some clients that have been with me since the beginning,
Yeah.
since, like, 2018. I add new people all the time, but most people are with me 6 to 9 months. And like I said, we develop this track. We keep in communication. Like I told you, I was communicating with a client that isn't even mine anymore just because I wanted to make sure he was doing the right thing.
Sure.
Um,
So people do like graduate from your service.
when no, no,
Hmm.
they are not able to hire me as a coach anymore
Right.
because my attitude is you're forever growing, you're forever learning.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not trying to hold anybody hostage, and I make it real clear you're not going to be my client forever. If anything, I can't wait until you're at the point where you can be independent.
Right. There's a good quote about this. There's like a good mentor. Um, what is it? A good mentor will won't be upset if you leave, but a great mentor will expect you to leave.
I tell them that on day one.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be with me forever. In order for me to give you the proper set of tools in your toolbox and to monitor you for enough time, it's usually 6 to 9 months. But most people, I take that back. Most people are only obligated to work with me for 3 months to start.
Hmm.
And then from there, honestly, it just comes down to can they pay the freight anymore?
Hmm. But also too, like 6 or 9 months, that's enough time for people to build good habits, right? Like if you're,
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. Because we're in constant communication. People have access to me, as needed text, email, DM access to me 7 days a week, whatever hour of the day,
Mhm.
questions, problems, updates, and I'm keeping an eye on them, what I see of them on social media. I don't limit it to just that. And we talk, we have conversations every other week, but there's a lot. It's a team. It's a teamwork,
Mhm.
because I, I try to look at it as I am your teammate. I am not your boss,
Mm,
and a teammate can give you a pat on the back and a kick in the pants.
right.
They're only 6 inches apart, by the way.
So you're like the, the experienced veteran coming in as captain to help the team along.
I'm your big brother.
Right? There you
I'm
go.
your big brother.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break your balls when you need it, and I'm gonna high five you and tell the world how great you did when you do something well
Mhm.
and celebrate you. Some of it, yeah, sometimes a little bit of that validation some clients want, but, most of the time it's getting in the mud of tackling things that they would otherwise avoid.
How much of what you're tackling is just personal issues that these people have to deal with and or get out of the way in order for them to be successful versus like actual business decisions?
Most of the business decisions come from the personal.
Well, that's what that was the point. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I mean, like how much time are you spending on getting these people to personally be more consistent or do things in a certain way that will lead to greatness versus actually like going through the nitty gritty of what they're actually doing in business?
Yeah, I mean, procrastination is not limited to just business.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And if you drag your feet on one thing, chances are you're dragging your feet on a lot of stuff
Mm.
because that just means you're prone to making excuses. You're prone to reprioritizing things.
Fuck excuses.
F them.
F excuses.
That's excuses. Yes, this
Right.
shirt is rated PG.
We swear on this podcast though, so it's okay.
Thank fucking God.
Thank God. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, are we allowed to curse? But
I
you've obviously broken
I
that, so we're
just
good.
I just I just try to have as little rules for everyone as possible. I just want people to come on and have fun. If you want to do anything, let's just do it.
So far, so good. I think so.
Yeah. I've only had I've only had a couple individuals come on that just didn't vibe at all.
Duds.
I won't get into it, but there was a few people out there and there was just no chemistry at all.
It happens.
I was having a conversation with my mom the other day, and she was like, because she was living in LA for a few months for the winter because Toronto's miserable, and so she was down here and she would come over every day and stuff like that. And she goes, "Oh, your podcasts are always great." She's my biggest fan, obviously. And then she's like, you have such great chemistry with all these guests, and she's like, was there any one guest that you really just didn't like? And I actually said this person's name, and I was like, yeah, it was podcast number whatever, whatever. And she goes, I knew that guy didn't like you. Like she knew it right away.
Oh, just from seeing the episode.
Yeah, it's funny.
So it was obvious.
Yeah, mom still knows what's what. But I love that about her that she was just kind of like she was making sure I vibed and had a good connection with all the guests that came through.
It happens. I mean, I have clients that I don't vibe with. You figure out over time. Like I said, when you get down to the crust, you figure, man, this leopard's not changing its spots.
Yeah, and then what do you do, right? Do you keep just working with them every 2 weeks, or do you have to cut them loose?
Well, I fulfill my contractual obligation,
Right.
and I usually say, hey, I leave it up to them.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to continue, I'm here. If not, I understand.
Because even if you're getting paid and making a living, it's still fucking insanity to work with someone on a daily or weekly basis who's not getting it.
And I've had a few clients that I've had to fart ways with.
Yeah.
I mean, had to fire them.
Mm.
Where it's just like, "Hey, man, you're not doing anything you paid for." I don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think you would do it at least for the time we're together because you paid for it.
This shirt does not say charity.
It's not Salvation Army coaching,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
You gotta do the work, and, if your tire's flat, I'm the guy who's gonna pull up next to you and go, "Your tire's flat." I'm not gonna not say it because it's uncomfortable.
And then help you fix it, or watch you fix it, or coach you how to fix it,
Something,
but not fix it for you.
but most folks, I generalize that. Some folks, when you tell them their tire's flat, they're worried about what color their fucking seat covers are.
What color are your seat colors?
Well, like, that's the whole point. It's like, fix the fucking tire. Don't worry about your seat covers.
Yeah.
But that's the mentality of some people because they think if they're accomplishing that other thing, they're doing something, but they're still avoiding the real problem.
The real problem.
The real problem is flat tire.
No, not the fake problem.
Exactly. Or, well, what color paint job you have. I mean, that's the metaphor, but you get it.
Yeah. That's wild. Like, because you must have to deal with, like, let's just say, on assumption you've got 30 clients that you're working with on a regular basis, semi-regular basis, or whatever. 30 different fucking personalities, and 30 different ways of procrastinating, and 30 different, ways of being excellent, and 30 different gaps in their knowledge or weakness in their personal constitution to do things that they say they're going to, like, every single one of them must be just massively unique. And
It's littered with nuance.
that's right. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. There's a lot of nuance there. And look, you got to build a relationship with that person. I mean, that's what it boils down to because you can't, like I said, I have my approach. I have the way I do business, but it is contoured to the person.
Mhm.
I'm not going to act a certain way. How I deliver the information is the same. What information each person gets is different based upon the nuance.
So, like, for me, if I was coming to you, I wouldn't. So, wearing a T-shirt that you're wearing now, it says "F excuses, be consistent." So, if I was coming to you and I saw you wearing that T-shirt, I would think right away, I'm gonna get some tough love from this guy.
That goes hand in hand with the brand.
Right, and that's the brand. Like people aren't coming to you for a warm glass of milk and a pat on the back.
I'm not everyone's flavor.
But just going in with that assumption and knowing that you are going to be a tough love kind of guy, that has to help you at least justify the way you approach all of your clients and all of their different avenues of work.
The brand is both a magnet and a repellent. I know that.
Yeah.
I know it's going to attract some people
Uh-huh.
and it's going to make other people run.
Yeah.
But that's fine because I know the people who are serious.
And the people who run probably need you the most.
Of course they do. Of course they do. But they won't stick around long enough to listen. Because my brand turns some people off. I've had advertising people who pitch me, say, "Oh, you got a smile in your headshot on LinkedIn." Well, that's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me. This punum is what it is.
Yeah.
Or what's the muscles? What's all that about? And the weightlifting. Well, that's my brand. That's me. I'm being me. It's not shtick to generate sales. I'm literally just documenting what I do.
It's your lifestyle.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
If you were to come spend a week with me, you would see what you see is what you get.
Mhm.
Period. And I talk this way to everybody.
Do any of your clients that you coach train with you?
No,
Mhm.
no, because they're not local. They're
Right.
spread out all over.
Yeah.
But I post a lot of workout content and I'll get some feedback or we'll have conversations about it. Most of the time it's a joke that, there goes Corey again, lifting up another Volkswagen or something like that. But I laugh with him. It's fine.
I love Joe Rogan because he does his podcast obviously from his studio in Austin, Texas, and he has his own gym in the studio too, right? So sometimes the podcast guests come in and they work out with him, and then they sit down for the podcast. And I think that's so fucking
And
cool.
Joe Rogan's an animal. Let's be clear. He's not a large man, but he is very in shape.
Very.
Very.
Yeah.
Like he is a well-trained MMA guy, more than most people give him credit. And that doesn't matter if you're a fan of his or not. He's a very physically fit gentleman.
It's great though that you could like go and do his podcast and also like work out with a legend
I
like
would
that.
love to do that.
It'd be fun, right?
Probably make me throw up, but because I'm not trained to do that stuff. I'm more sit still and, pick up heavy things.
Yeah, that's epic. No, that's wild. So okay, so where are you now in your coaching career? Like you've been doing it since 2018, so you're what, 7 years in?
Yep.
Like, are you feeling like you're like a mid-career coach, or you still feel like you're just starting out? You feeling like you're an expert who has all the answers? Like how long do you have to be a coach before you've got like serious confidence that you can really help everyone?
Well, like I said, I took that approach from day one.
I love the confidence.
Period. If anything, I changed the sight on my rifle a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I started out exclusively voiceover people, actors, because that's where I came from. Then I started to get, just by osmosis, organically, I started to get people in other industries, automotive sales, finance, insurance. Other coaches started to hire me to teach them how to do things. And it was strictly for business, marketing, social media, a lot of that stuff. But then ultimately, over time, it's all life coaching,
Mm-hmm.
because you're teaching people how to, you're rebuilding. It's like the $6 million man. If I'm rebuilding people, adding the bionic arm and the eye, whatever else. And, over the last year, I started to kind of put a name on it. I'm doing, yes, I'm always going to be doing the marketing coaching, the social media coaching, working with talent. That's kind of a self-perpetuating thing for me, which is great. But I'm working more and more on this life and high performance coaching that I call knockout life. Go figure, knockout life and high performance coaching. And I'm not looking to take over the world with that. I'm looking to work with a select group of people, because I still enjoy, and I don't want to give up scheduling my work around my life.
Which is crucial and important to you for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm not looking to say I have the most clients anymore. I just want to work with the right people,
Mhm.
and be happy with what I do, and keep the fridge full, the rent paid, and gas in the car.
How many clients can you have before you start to feel stretched on managing? Because like, like because I played on a lot of sports teams when I was a kid, right? And you could see like, the coach could deal with 8 or 10 different personalities pretty well, but the other six, I play basketball, right? So there's 16 players on the team, and 5 players start, and then you've got another 5 to 8 bench players that may or may not play, and then you've got the guys that just practice, right? So and sometimes coach didn't have the bandwidth to deal with all 16 of us every fucking day
I get it.
for 4 years. And I played at the college level as well, so I'm just wondering like where your limit is
What the
kind of
threshold is.
on just people and personalities and being able to deal with all of it.
I mean, 15 is the ideal number at any one given time.
Mhm.
If it gets north of 20, then it starts to become work.
Right, yeah.
'Cause there's man hours. It's
Mhm.
not just, wave your finger and cash a check. I'm available 7 days a week for them to touch base with me messaging wise, and I'm giving them 2 calls a month.
Mhm.
And it's not just the time on the call. I prepare an agenda for every call.
Mm.
I do the call itself, and then following the call, they get an customized email that's kinda like a call recap. "Here's what we discussed. Here's your homework. Here's when we talk again." And I do that for every single call. So, if that gets over 20, I'm not that upset when some go away from attrition.
Sure.
It's okay.
Mhm.
It's part I learned that over time. Now, when I first started, it was like, "Come on, everybody get on the boat. Water's fine. Let's go." But now especially over the last 3 or 4 years, I'm managing that a lot better.
Yeah, because you'd think like at the beginning of every business, you want every client, and then over time, you start to be selective about who your clients are because you have less time and you're giving them better service because you're more experienced in this space too.
It's a luxury.
Yeah, I'd like to.
Not everyone gets to say they do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, in the beginning, I probably worked with some clients that I would have rather not worked with.
Oh, I've been there.
It happens. I mean, but I had to learn that.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. I didn't know what my ideal client was when I first started. I had to have a large enough sample size to know that, okay, this is my jam. These folks here on the fringes, they're just not going to buy it.
Mhm.
So, like I said, now anywhere between 15 to 18 at any given time. that's a sweet number, and it still allows me to have all sorts of freedom to do whatever I want throughout the day,
Like travel halfway across the country and watch your son play.
or to drive 2 hours to Beverly Hills.
And me. Hey. Yeah. Amazing. So, okay, so you're 7 years into the coaching, like, where do you see the next 4 or 5 years of your career? What do you have kind of coming up, you know, in the next, 6 or 8 months? Like, what are you kind of building towards? Are you just kind of enjoying where you are at the moment?
I mean, I'm in a good spot. Like I said, I'm not looking for volume. I'm looking for the right people. Even when I tell people all the time now, and I'm okay saying this out loud, I'm semi-retired now. I live a semi-retired lifestyle. I don't work 40 hours a week, thank the good Lord, anymore. I remember when that was a break, working only 40 hours. I was like, I didn't work a 40-hour week till I was near 40 years old.
Yeah, it's a myth.
This doesn't happen. But, my wife asks me all the time, "You ever just gonna not work and retire?" I said, "Probably not 100%. I'll always be helping a group of somebodies. Who knows?"
You got to avoid cognitive decline.
Yes. Remember, I go to the gym.
That's true. That's huge.
That's huge, and, we'll be chasing, my kids around and hopefully their kids. Fellas, if you're listening, get to work, leave your socks on, get me some grandkids.
Right? There you go. Yeah.
So we're hoping that honestly, that's on my radar now. I'm not embarrassed to say I'm ready to be a grandfather. It's my kids just have to get to work.
There you go.
Maybe they need to, get a bottle of whiskey or something.
Always helps. Social lubricant.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's my aspirations. My aspirations is just, I like to phrase it as QTL. You ever heard that expression?
No.
QTL stands for quality time left.
Right?
Okay. And,
There's a whole lot of shit time left.
yeah, the quality time left is quality with your family.
Right.
And, 2 weeks ago, I buried my father.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
And 2.5 years before that, I buried my mother. And
Also.
if those two events didn't put a freezing cold splash of water on me
Mm.
to say, you ain't gonna be around forever, and if it was an alarm bell, both of those things, that I am going to do what I want
Mhm.
with who I want whenever I want. I'm not waiting. I'm taking action now to get the life that I want.
Mhm.
That's my aspiration. Period.
Wouldn't it be amazing if like everyone got that wake up call when they were like 20?
Never happens.
Never.
Never happens.
It takes yeah, it takes like honestly, it takes until your 50s normally, and it takes like when you start losing your parents.
It sucks, man.
Yeah.
It sucks. Now, look, that doesn't mean if someone's end goal is to, be a multimillionaire and own corporations and have all of the materialistic, things, good on you.
Oh, the stress. Oh my God.
But if that's your goal and you want to work towards that and you can afford those things, that's fine. For me, I figured out that wasn't for me. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but to me, what's more important is have enough money to be comfortable, but to spend time with my wife and my children and my friends.
Do you coach anyone who's like a high net worth entrepreneur who's got all the businesses and blah blah blah?
I recently parted ways with a guy that I worked with for many years,
Right.
and he's a multimillionaire.
Hmm.
Multimillionaire, like lives in the Sopranos house.
Right.
And travels all over the country, goes on exotic vacations with his wife. Super talented guy, driven guy, published author. He's a very accomplished coach in a different industry,
Mhm.
but I helped him launch his business,
Mm.
and he just got to the point where, hey, Corey, I think I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm like, good luck, man.
Mhm.
Have at it. But yeah, he's and without mentioning his name, he's done very well for himself.
Mhm. Not Tony Robbins.
No, not that good. Not that good. I can't take credit for him.
Yeah, he's the OG.
Oh, for sure. He is definitely the OG when it comes to motivational coaches and information.
Absolutely. So that's pretty wild that you came out to LA for your son's baseball career, or you came out to Southern California for your son's baseball career, because obviously most people come out here chasing Hollywood.
Wasn't part of the plan. My wife and I wanted the original plan was we were going to get some ranch or something out in Wyoming or Montana in the middle of nowhere. And, I told my wife, I said, dig a big hole in the backyard. And when I'm done, just roll me in it and we're good.
Mhm.
But when we came out here, we're like, wow, this is kind of our speed.
Mhm.
And she especially doesn't want to leave. And I mean, I'm not here against my will. Believe me, I enjoy it.
Mhm.
But I have no desire to be back in the Northeast. We just got another house, first of the year, and where we're at, that's a place where that should be the last house we get.
Wow, that's a big step.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Like
yeah,
we moved into it with the expressed intent of this is tailor made for when we get older.
right.
Like no steps.
Mhm.
It's got extra wide hallways and doorways. God forbid then one of us needs a wheelchair or something.
Mhm.
Like we thought that far ahead when we got this place. And it's in a great area. It's quiet. It's gated, all that fancy stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I don't want to move again.
And the sun shines every.
Sun shines every day. I'll just frequent flyer miles, buddy. Frequent flyer miles. My family wants to see me. I'll fly out and go see you.
Fly them out.
That too.
Yeah.
They're welcome. We have room. You come too.
I'm not leaving Southern California. That's wild. It's such a journey you've been on. It's so inspiring.
Well, I'm glad you see it that way,
Mhm.
and that's kind of the gospel, the go get it gospel that I'm trying to put out there that, you know, I've done it. I've done what you want. I've gone from employee to entrepreneur.
Mhm.
And, I'm like I said, I'm not a rich man, but I've had sort of Forrest Gumpian type experience out there where I bumped into a lot of cool people and been to a lot of cool places. It's been a fun ride.
I always think like if you give off a good vibe and you give off good energy, then you attract what you put out, right? And then good people kind of come around you and then things kind of work out because you're surrounded by good people.
And even in California where we knew no one,
Yeah.
we had 0 street cred here. We were completely anonymous. In the short time we've been here, August will be 4 years.
Mhm.
We have we have one set of friends that have basically adopted us as their family,
Mhm.
like just super good people. And we have like a tight knit group of folks that we like to spend our time with.
Mhm.
Um, and look, I miss my good friends in other places, but they've come to visit and they're invited to come again.
Yeah. It's great when you can leave and then you just invite people to follow you along.
And hey, look, that's what telephones are for. And social media to share pictures and videos and information, and we can do FaceTime calls. I mean, it's always good to, be right here eye to eye, but I'm not leaving Southern California, man,
No,
because like I said, that is baked into the QTL.
it is.
My quality time is spent in Mission Viejo.
That's beautiful.
I'm lucky, man.
Yeah.
I'm blessed.
I came out here with no friends either. And I set up this podcast basically to meet cool people.
Hopefully, we accomplish that mission at least today.
We definitely did today, and we're not done yet. But
Good.
but it's
I don't want to be done. Let's keep going, man. It was too much fun.
we'll keep going. But it's just wonderful, like that that you can come out here and without knowing anyone and still kind of put a life together, right?
And the fun part is that's not why we came.
Yeah.
That was a happy byproduct.
Right.
It was all about, "Hey, we're gonna help my youngest in his career." And look, he met his, girlfriend, which is soon to be his fiancée and wife, and we're friends with their family, so we have family ties out here. I mean, and now both of my folks are gone, so that eliminates one extra reason to go to the Northeast.
Yeah.
I mean, both of my sons are out there, but they're young enough that they can come back and forth.
And
They
and where they are now isn't where they're going to be 10 years from now.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Hopefully my son is, under contract with the Phillies for mega millions at that point, but we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be a dream.
From my mouth to God's ears.
Yeah. Well, that's epic. That's wild. Like again, it's very rare that people come out to this part of the world like for their kids.
Most, that's kind of the feedback I get from most, like, "Wow, you did that for your son?" My attitude is, why wouldn't you? If you can,
Mhm.
why wouldn't you?
Well, you really planned your career perfectly where you started doing the freelance stuff a couple years before you exited. You kind of built that up nicely. And then when the opportunity for your son came, you were ready to do that. Like most people don't have that awareness at all. Most people are just going to work every day, doing their thing, just trying to, just going to A and B every day, not really looking at C and D and E and F,
My mother used to always tell me I got vision.
not tunnel vision.
Like, I got vision. And a funny story, which is completely related to what you just said. A house we moved into when we lived in the Northeast. We wanted to get a place closer to where that production studio was built, the custom one for us that wasn't at the radio station. So we moved to a town called Glenmore, Pennsylvania. That's irrelevant, but the point is it was like farm, little old 100-year-old home.
Hmm.
And I took my mother there. And my mother was the quintessential um, Yenta Jewish American princess mother. And I pulled up, and we're out in the middle of nowhere, and the grass is easily 4 feet high, hadn't been cut in years, and it's this old, stucco home, and there's a pond, and there's bugs and all this stuff, and she leaned over to me, she said, "Corey, you must have some vision." And we made the place nice, but the point is I had this vision in my head that I was not going to be working for someone else forever,
Hmm.
and when these episodes popped up with my son's athletic pursuits, my, lack of fulfillment, uh, with the production company because 'cause I'd been there forever,
Hmm.
been there, done that. I said, "Okay, I'm going to put together this plan," and hopefully I didn't know it was gonna be, exactly in July of 2020 when I was gonna pull the trigger, which is when all this happened.
Right.
But, I didn't know COVID was gonna hit, which accelerated everything.
Sure.
But, I remember it was July 4th weekend, 2020. I called up the owner of the production company, said, "Hey, man, guess what? I'm moving to Virginia."
Right.
And his long pause. I said, "Listen, I've been running your business from home anyway all year because of COVID, and I've been working from home 3, 4 days a week anyway.
Mm.
I'd be happy to assist even from there." And he said in not so many words he wasn't a fan of that move.
Sure.
And 2 weeks later, we officially parted ways, but I was prepared.
Yeah.
I built my business up, and that was also the wake-up call that, okay, you've now made the same amount of money as your full-time salary, but there was a point where you were making both.
Right.
So what are you gonna do now, Core?
Yeah. Enjoy the freedom.
Well, enjoy the freedom and put the foot on the gas with the coaching business to make even more, and that's what I did from 2020 to probably 2023 before I took my foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah.
And, here we are. Now I have this amazing opportunity to come, to Beverly Hills and have a spirited chat with a guy like you who's been on television. I mean, I'm blown away today, man. This is just too much fun.
Well, that's great. I'm glad you were able to come up. Yeah. We've done some television. We've been out there
A little bit.
in the wild.
A little bit, man. And you're calling me the great adventurer. You have traversed everywhere.
I've been around.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's like I'm kind of doing this. You're doing this to me. I'm doing it to you.
I think LA has been the most boring place I've ever lived, probably.
That's hysterical. Yeah, you have way more culture than me. That's all I could tell you.
I've been around. I don't know how much culture I've actually absorbed from all that,
Well,
but
you've at least been exposed to it.
I've been exposed to a lot. Yeah.
There you go.
Hopefully more again in the future.
No doubt.
It sounds like you had a good COVID though. It sounds like, like when all the so where were you in March 2020 when all the shit happened?
Standing along the fence at a high school baseball game.
Oh wow, yeah.
There was all this hubbub and buzz amongst the parents. They go, "Oh, they're probably gonna call the season off." It was his second game of the year,
Yeah.
and that was it. They canceled his senior season. They canceled his senior prom.
Mhm.
I mean, they had a graduation. Obviously, it was kind of, clunky how they did it, but he had a graduation, but it totally butchered that whole summer.
Mhm.
But it knowing that we were moving, it gave us something to focus about. Consolidating all the things you accumulate after living in a home for 20
I
years.
shouldn't imagine.
Yeah, so we went from a 3-bedroom home with a finished basement and a finished loft. So I had 3 finished floors
Mhm.
to a 2-bedroom apartment.
Mhm.
You know, 2,500 square feet to 1,200 square feet.
Wow.
So you wind up throwing out a lot of stuff.
That's why.
It's amazing what you accumulate, but that gave us focus. It gave us purpose.
Mhm.
It gave us something to be excited about. Plus going back and forth to see the property and to sign just little things like driving down to sign the papers and to move him into school. They gave us stuff to be excited about. Now, once we got there, it didn't take too long till we figured out it was a failed experiment
Sure.
because we didn't like Virginia that much.
It's a tough ask.
It was Dukes of Hazzard, bro.
It can be.
Yeah, it was Dukes of Hazzard. Let me tell you, no doubt. I mean, nice, very nice people, but there there was nothing to do before COVID hit there.
Yeah.
I mean, we had to drive 45 minutes to a mall
Yeah.
and a movie theater. I mean, it was something.
Yeah.
I mean, I was waiting for Andy Griffith to show up at any moment.
It's quiet.
Very,
Yeah.
very, it wasn't rural, but it was not suburban. It was, still hit that sweet twilight zone in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then when I remember coming out here and we came out here in August of 2021 and there was we live right near, it's called the Mission Valley Mall or something. It's a big shopping area. And we walked in there and there's people walking around shopping.
Mhm.
Stores are open,
Yeah.
restaurants. My wife and I looked at each other like, "Oh my god,
Mm.
there's civilization."
There's more people who live in California than live in all of Canada.
Really?
Yeah. As a
This
Cana
much geography.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, I learned something new today.
Yeah, no, so it's been a joke for a long time that the population of California, the entire state, is actually more than the entire country of Canada.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are all spread out in Canada, though.
Not really. We all live right along the border with the US. Like something like 90% of the population of Canada lives within like 100 miles or 150 miles of the US border.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because the rest of it's fucking cold, right? It's empty, like, no joke. Like, I did a motorcycle trip across Canada for a TV show a long time ago, and we rode all up through the Arctic and stuff like that.
What
It's
kind of bike did you ride?
so on that trip, we did a BMW F800 GS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was a Harley owner for a long time.
I can see that.
Go figure, right?
Yeah. I love Harleys, but until recently, they didn't have a good dual sport. So I was always doing, because like you go up into the Arctic, you're riding on gravel and stuff like that. So it's not a great like
Can't have
cruise,
street tires on there, yeah.
and it's not a great cruiser kind of speed because you need like proper suspension as well because you
Sure.
do hit like massive potholes.
I'll bet.
So I love the dual sports. So whether it's like Ducati, BMW, even Suzuki, Kawasaki, Royal Enfield even have a dual sport now. I rode a Royal Enfield, which is an Indian made motorcycle. I rode that all through India many years ago for a show. So I love that. So I actually want to get a Royal Enfield here for LA and just putt around it because Royal Enfield has a great, like, they have these super cool like 100-year-old British style cruisers, and I want to get one of those for like putting around LA.
Well, now that I have a garage again, we're thinking about getting another bike. We'll see.
It's nice once a day to get out early enough and just get out and get some open road.
My kids don't want me to get one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it's like, "Dad, I don't want you to get in an accident or anything like that." I'm like, "Come on, man, I'll go slow."
We're all gonna go when we go.
Yeah, I just don't want to get over the handlebars, though.
That's true. Yeah.
I'd like to avoid that.
So I made a motorcycle show. I did Tough Rides China, and I set a Guinness World Record for that, and we made a show about it. And then we did India, and then we did Brazil, and now I'm just raising money to try to do. We got a couple actually. We got Argentina, Australia,
Ooh,
uh,
Australia'd be cool.
yeah, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and one more. So we've got a whole slate that we're raising money for at the moment. So we're hopefully
That's
be able to just fire them off.
so cool.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, I wish you luck with that, and I can't wait to watch whichever one you land on.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, and hopefully, like imagine doing Mongolia. Like you're there for 2 months, you do 10, 12,000 miles, and there's no roads. You're off roading the whole time.
No roads at all.
So
Not
there's
even gravel.
Well, like there's gravel and dirt, but there's only paved roads. So Ulaanbaatar is the capital of Mongolia, and there's only paved roads within like 150-mile radius of the capital city.
But where all the villages and whatnot, it's nothing.
And yeah, and if it rains, you're in mud, so it's like a shit show.
Goodness.
And then, of course, if it rains, the rivers go higher, and then you've got to cross a lot of rivers because some bridges fall out and stuff like that. So it's a whole adventure.
It will make interesting television.
I hope so, right?
No doubt. What's what you're telling your investors.
That's what I'm telling everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, because we got to get out and explore the world again. It's like I don't know what happened, but like travel and adventure TV has completely fallen off the map for the streaming partners and the linear broadcasters and everything like that. It's all just gone on to YouTube now. And YouTube is great if you're an established YouTuber, but if you're starting from scratch, it's a big ask to try to get revenue up to a
I was going
point.
to say advertising revenue. You have to have a certain amount of subscribers to get that and views and whatnot.
Yeah, even with podcasting too, like it's really difficult. So it's very interesting to see like how an entire genre, like Anthony Bourdain, right? He
Okay.
he passed away at I believe it was 2016 or 2017, or was it 2018 he passed away? Can't remember. But he
Yeah, me
passed
neither.
yeah. But he passed away. But it was like when he passed away, the travel genre of like television died with him.
Yeah, the only guy maybe he's coming close now, Stanley Tucci, maybe?
Well, he just keeps going to
He's
Italy.
going to Italy, yeah, yeah.
And nice enough.
And Guy Fieri doesn't count.
Guy Fieri doesn't count, and Stanley Tucci's a brilliant fucking actor.
I mean, how cool is Flavortown, though? Let's be clear.
Flavortown's kinda nice.
I mean, yeah, that's gangster, as he would say.
But Parts Unknown was, like, the real deal. That was yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But it'd be nice to see people, like, traveling again, like, curious about the world, wanting to meet people, wanting to break bread, wanting to have drinks, wanting to, like
I can't wait to see you make it happen, dude.
yeah, it's coming.
No doubt. No doubt.
So, okay, so, are you actively taking on new clients now? Are you what's kind of your focus on the next 3 to 6 months?
Oh, yeah, my door's open. Like I said, I'm vetting right now. I
Mhm,
mean, when people reach out to me and they're interested, you're gonna get a video,
mhm.
and that video, in a nice way, says, "Are you serious?" Right? I kinda walk you through, "Here's what you can expect,"
Mhm.
because I don't want my time wasted. I wanna make money, I wanna be able to afford things, but I don't wanna work with someone that doesn't and I'm being very transparent with them. So
Mhm.
this is how it's gonna go, and I do it with a nice hug, shoulder massage, it's not being a jerk,
Mhm.
but, yeah, my door's open. I mean, I'm if I could probably tolerate another 3 to 6 right now-ish, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, I have conversations every week with people.
I love that. So when someone asks if they want to work with you, you send them a video and it's like, you better fucking show up to play.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll say, "Look, would love to hop on" 'cause I offer people a complimentary I call it a discovery call,
Mhm.
just to find out if we vibe and to answer questions, but if I'm going to do that, I say, "Okay, let's set up your discovery call, but I want you to watch this video first."
Sure.
And they literally are given instructions to reply, "I'm serious."
Mhm.
And if they don't reply, "I'm serious," I don't book the call
Right?
because I wanna know if there's a tremendous amount of tire kickers out there.
Right.
I don't deal with tire kickers.
No, that's gotta be tough because, like, because you'd imagine if someone was looking for a coach, maybe they've reached out to 5 or 6 coaches and they're trying to figure out which one's the best suited for them, and that can waste a lot of time for everyone.
Yeah, and my attitude is, look, am I the, most visible personality on social media? No, but there's enough of me out there, you don't need to digest much to figure out what I'm about.
Fair enough.
So, you kinda have to know what you're getting into. Generally, what they wanna know are all the X's and O's. How much is it? What do I get for the money?
Mhm.
Okay, fine, we go over all that, but if you haven't cleared the hurdle of Corey's my flavor or not, you're wasting your time
I think that's the first question that needs to be asked,
because we're gonna be in the trenches together.
and you hide nothing.
0,
You wear your shit on your sleeve
when I wear sleeves.
when you wear sleeves.
When I wear sleeves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, because I share my life.
Mhm.
Because I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, etcetera, but people know who my kids are. They know what they're doing. I get, my father passed away. I had just hundreds of people reaching out to me to share condolences and whatnot.
Right.
You know, I put out me. I'm a big fan of, and I think it's important to be authentic.
Mhm.
This isn't an act. This is what me every day. This is what you're going to get. And if it's not for you, let's not waste each other's time here. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. But I even give you an idea what it costs in that video
Mhm.
because, you know, you have to be willing to invest in yourself the right way.
I think tone is the most important thing,
Uh, 80% is packaging, 20% is substance.
right? But finding that right tonal balance is the key.
Yeah, and I'll err on maybe being a little more hard ass,
Mhm.
which is fine because, like I said, it just eliminates a lot of confusion and time wasting.
Right?
I'm okay. Tell me you don't want to be my friend.
Mhm.
Fine, I'll sleep like a baby,
Right.
but don't tell me I'm not a good coach. It's fine. I'm not into I don't want any new friends.
Mhm.
I'm I could probably be a better friend to the friends I have. I'm looking to work with people that want to win.
Mhm.
If you don't want to win, if you just want to go through the motions, you want to tell your friends that you're working with a coach who picks up heavy things, I'm not your guy.
Mhm.
Get in there to work. I want to be able to tell people, see that guy Ryan, I work with Ryan, that's my guy.
Mhm.
That's my guy. And I want you to say, see that guy over there, Corey? That's my guy.
Mhm.
That's what we're doing. We're building a relationship. I probably talk more to people that used to work with me than I talk to the people that currently work with me.
Mhm.
Just because your contract's up doesn't mean your coaching's over.
Sure. Yeah, I bet.
And it's a relationship. It's family. You're going to learn who my wife is because she gets involved a little bit. She talks to you on social media, etc. But it's a very boutique, intimate situation.
Mhm.
And we want people who are serious because, like I said, with social media and everything, everybody sees all this stuff on the surface.
Right.
All of this superfluous nonsense,
It's all garbage.
BS, and they think that that's the winning.
Mm.
No, the winning is pay your mortgage from the business you run and do it for 10 years in a row,
Mhm.
and you're winning. You know, nobody cares about all that other stuff. They think it's all about image and all that. Okay, there's a little bit of branding and whatnot you need to have and be polished, etc. But it's all the things in the background, the unsexy, boring tasks and responsibilities that most people overlook and they don't pay attention to, and that's why they're not where they're at.
And you cannot procrastinate through that stuff.
It's unavoidable.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable. When people ask me what I do every day, it's very boring.
Mhm.
I do not have this crazy extravagant lifestyle. Far from it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's laughable how boring my day is.
But you're helping people.
I'm helping people, but the boring repetition, boring, that's to me, it's just my day.
Mhm.
But that's the stuff that separates the pretenders from the contenders.
Mhm.
You're gonna just make pretend and play entrepreneur or play successful human being,
Right.
or are you gonna do the real work that makes that happen?
The contenders.
Contenders.
I like that. Pretenders and contenders.
You wanna win? You gotta get in the ring and throw punches.
Mhm.
Most people still sit on the other side of the rope and saying, "I could do that.
Oh, there's a lot of that.
I could do that. I could beat him."
Mhm.
No, get in the ring, take a couple shots to the face, and then see what happens. Mike Tyson said that.
Right, yeah, your game plan is as good until you get hit in the face first,
In the
right?
face.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
and then it's out
Yeah,
the
that's the
window.
point there. I mean, and that he's an uneducated man, but he's very smart.
He's been around.
Been around. He definitely has some stories to tell. But that's what it boils down to. It's just being able to do the boring, things that most people don't talk about online.
Mhm.
You see all these folks out there with, fancy edited reels of what they drive or their house or they visited this restaurant or whatever. That's all bullshit, dude.
Yeah.
It's all bullshit. You know what? Show me your mortgage statement. Show me your car lease payments
Mhm.
that you paid for it with this business you say you have.
Mhm.
Most people are just spend most of their time moonlighting.
Sure, yeah, that happens a lot.
But you can turn the side hustle to 6 figures or 7 figures. You just gotta put the work in. And that's what I try to nudge people to do is get off your ass, go get it, get after it, and do these certain things over and over and over again. You'll build a pattern of accomplishment, and those little things you're able to repeat over and over turn into bigger things you repeat over and over. Too many people. You're a guy who travels a lot. So Mount Everest, right?
Yep,
Very tall peak.
the biggest.
Okay. Most people are looking at the top of that.
Mhm.
And when they don't get there, they say, "It's too hard. I'm going to avoid it. It's tough to do." Stop looking at the summit. Look at your feet,
One damn foot at a time.
my man.
And how fucking painful is that?
It's excruciating.
It is, I've been there.
It's excruciating,
Yeah.
but that's what it takes.
I always kind of equate being an entrepreneur or having to do all these mundane tasks in order to get stuff done. And it's the same in television too. I always equate that to mountain climbing because when you're mountain climbing, you have to watch one foot at a time. And it's funny because you got this little headlamp on and it's like midnight and it's pitch black. You can see the stars. You got this little light on, the light's focusing on your feet, and you got crampons on and it's like crunch, 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 crunch. And then your guide is right in front of you. You can see the back of his feet. And that's it. And you got to do 6 hours of that in the dark before you even have a chance at glory. and getting to a summit, or at least getting to the where the sun comes up and you can actually feel warmth again on your body. So I always say like that fucking bullshit of one step at a time is spot on,
And you've lived it literally.
and made TV about it.
Made TV about it. And, I'm speaking it in a figurative sense to paint a picture,
Mm.
just to give you this analogy so you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that is the crux of why most people talk about wanting to be successful versus ending up being successful,
Mhm.
because they're not willing to just be okay with looking at their feet.
Right. They want to see more, but actually it's too distracting, or
They want the prize without putting in the work. You
mm,
got to put in the work, man.
an age old an age old problem.
It's a pretty simple lesson.
Yeah.
But that's where the confusion, that's where people drop off because they think it's some magical formula.
Mhm.
There's some hack, there's some software, there's some app that'll do it for you. No, it's your 2 feet, man. Put one in front of the other. Do simple things over and over again, step by step, and eventually get there. Shawshank, baby. Shawshank. Crawl through 500 feet of shit, and then you'll get what you want. Most people aren't willing to do that.
Such a beautiful metaphor and a beautiful movie.
Love it. We stop on it every time we were scanning around.
Yeah, and a beautiful conversation. Thank you, Corey, for coming today. It's been amazing. I think it's a great way for you to like kind of finish it off, kind of explaining how to get people to take that one step at a time and to keep their eye on the prize.
My only regret is we have to stop. This has been fun, man. I can talk to you for hours, bro. This is great.
Well, you can ask me a question if you'd like. We can turn it around.
Don't get me started. I don't know if you got enough hard drive space, man.
Maybe not.
We'll quit when we're ahead.
We got 27 hours left on that, but we've got 2 hours already.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did not feel like 2 hours.
No, it's so nice when you can just talk with someone and just chill and get to know someone for the first time. It's the first time in the studio, and I hope you come back.
This was money, dude. It
was fun, right?
This was money.
I tell you, my podcast guests hear this all the time, but you're first first timer. But it's amazing because I had a friend come in here the other day for like 2.5, 3 hours, and we talked for a long time because we had a lot of history between us, and we went through all of it, and it was fun. But then but when the podcast was over, he was like, "Oh my God, the dopamine of just like talking and meeting someone that I haven't seen in a long time." And then he texts me on the way home and he goes, "And I didn't check my phone for 3 hours."
How about it?
Yeah. And he's just like, "That's amazing. Like not to be able to check your phone and just to be engaged in a conversation."
My wife is going to require me to spend 3 days a week here with you. So I'm not on my phone sitting over there turned off.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's wonderful just to like put the phones away and actually get to connect with someone for real.
Good times, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
So where can we find you online?
Pretty simple. CoreyDissin.com, CoreyDissin.com. I'm all over the social media stuff, but I would tell you, if you Google my name and you can't find me,
Hmm.
I'm a shitty marketing guy.
Right? That's probably true. But I'll put your links and all your social media links in the
Sweet.
podcast, and we'll
Big
keep.
into LinkedIn. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, X, and Instagram, but LinkedIn is my jam. I enjoy that one the most.
It's not bad, right?
It's awesome. It's
Yeah.
a cash machine. But
Yeah, it's not bad. All right, well, let's go up here. We can see, and so people can see we're in the same room. And Corey, great to fucking meet you today.
yeah,
And
dude, my man.
yeah, I really appreciate it. And come back anytime.
Just let me know when.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let me know. Let's go.
All right, thanks. And we're out.
Later.
Fade to black.